Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2. We're working on a track from start to finish. So in this episode, we're going to continue fleshing out the beginnings of the track. So far, we've got a kick and a bass, and they sound like this. And I'm already starting to get that dread of feeling like the snare isn't good enough. And this is typical amongst producers to think that the snare just doesn't fit the track. No matter what you do, you can't get it working. So anyway, we're not going to get caught up in that tail chase just yet. We're going to continue moving forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select what I've made so far, and I'm going to expand it out to 16 bars, right? So if we have this on 1 bar of music, here we've got 16 bars of music, okay? And I'm going to copy the kick and bass, and I'm going to paste it here. So I've got 16 bars where it's just kick and bass and nothing else. So just the chuggers. And then here we've got the percussion coming in, right? And we're going to start building a bit of a progression. And in this episode, I want to work on getting in, we want to get some cymbal crashes. We want to get some white noise sweeps. And yeah, we'll figure out exactly what we want as we move on. And I'm going to just go along with it and do my thing. We'll be using sort of operator, maybe wavetable. We'll just have a bit of a general play around with stuff. So we'll start off by getting a good crash cymbal. So I've been using the 909 kit, and I believe the 909 has fairly nice crashes. So let's have a listen to this. So I just clicked and dragged that onto a new MIDI channel, right? Both of them are nice, right? I quite like them. So we'll go and we'll go ahead and we'll play them both over top of each other and just see what happens, right? So that's with them both playing together. That's one. Sorry. And I could actually select one and kind of turn it down a little bit. Dude, I really like that. Right, so I'm just going to freeze that straight. I'm just going to turn it straight into audio. Flatten it. We've got this in audio. Cool. And then what I'm going to do, I'll name it Control R cymbal. And we can then wash it out with some reverb. And we're using Ableton inbuilt devices, so we'll grab this reverb. We'll put it on about 33% or so. And I don't want to cut the highs, but I would cut the lows, right? I don't want low frequencies triggering the reverb, and I'll do it at around 1,000 kilohertz. Don't want any pre-delay. I'd like it to just wash on instantly. I want the quality to be high, and I want the decay time to be fairly long. So I could select this period of time, right, and figure out sort of how long that is. And you can see down the bottom here, it's about 6 seconds or so. So if I set that up to be about the length of that, I'm going to have a nice long sort of washout on my cymbal. So let's have a listen. Right? Now it sounds a little bit abrupt because it just kind of comes out of nowhere. So what I usually do is if I click on this channel, I can go Control D to duplicate it. And I made a copy of it, and I'll go Control R to rename it, and I'll call this one Rev Cymbal, right? And I'm going to turn the reverb off on this one. In fact, I'll just delete the reverb off of it. And I'm going to press R on my keyboard to actually reverse the sample. Now, if you're not using Windows 10, that's not going to work. And you're going to have to come into the sample here, and you're going to have to hit reverse. Right? So, yeah, if you're using Ableton 9, just keep that in mind. And now what we'll do is we'll right click on the grid, and we'll make the grids a bit smaller. And I think I'm going to go like that. Right? So we've just got that little break. And I'll also bring the volume of this down like -6 decibels. And I don't quite like that little scrapey bit, but I'm just gonna pop that on. Let's have a listen. Cool. So what I did there is I just put a volume fade on the end of that. So if you can't see these little nodes when you put your cursor over top of the audio, then it's maybe likely that you've got this enabled, this little blue button up here. So this is the automation, right? So if you've got the automation on, you don't see the fades on the clips. And again, if you're not using Ableton 10, this is going to be working differently, and I actually can't even remember how it works in Ableton 9. I've forgotten. So beautiful. Right, so now we've got a cymbal and a reverse cymbal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click both of them by holding Shift. I can select multiple tracks and go Control and G to group them, and then Control R to rename it. And I'm going to call this so risers and transitions, right? And what I'll do as well is inside of here, I'll insert another audio track. I'm going to pop it in there, sorry. And I'm going to Control R, rename this one, and I'm going to call this Rev Kick, right? And what this is going to be is it's going to be a reversed kick. And I'm going to take the kick sample. And I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to paste the reverse kick, or the kick. And I've got this, it's covering 1/8 note, right? So that's an eighth note of time that kick drum is filling up. Just put a little roll off the edge there just so that there's no clicking if the sample goes to 0, and I've cut it in the wrong sort of place. So we've got that. I'm going to go Control J to consolidate it, right? So now this clip, it's not any longer, it's just that period of time. And then I'm going to press on my keyboard again, R to reverse the sample, right? So now I've got something like that, and I'll just bring it down a little bit in volume because it's quite loud. Cool, so then, right, cool. So what we'll do is we'll actually, we'll just mute the bass in that area just so it's not playing. So I selected that area and then I press 0 on my keyboard to deactivate it, right? So I can click on a clip and press 0 to stop it actually playing. So now that crash isn't making any noise, right? So 0 turns samples on or off. So I've turned the bass samples off there, and now if we sort of listen from here, I don't want to be too boring. Listen from here. Right? Adds a nice bit of energy into that part where we just go sort of wham into something. And what we might want to do as well is we might want some sort of pitching riser playing during that period of time. So if I make a new MIDI clip and I select that area, we might start off with a white noise sweep, and then maybe we'll layer a pitching sweeping riser as well. So I'm going to go to instruments and I'm going to use operator. So operator will pull this in, drop it there, double click the clip to open it. Double click on C3 to draw a note on C3. I just want to draw one big long note, and the key that I use doesn't matter. The reason being is because it's white noise, and white noise doesn't have a note. So we can go into operator now. So coming back, if we are stuck on the piano clip, we just come over here to operator, right? So you've got these two tabs. My camera might be a little bit in the way there. Yeah, you can still see it. It's underneath the collective intelligence, but you operator, and then you've got the actual clip for the MIDI because we've got that selected. So back over here, into the waveform, and we want white noise, right? So if I play this now, it's going to be all white noisy, and we're going to use a filter to shape the white noise, and we can put a so the filter section's here, right? So if I play that and I move that down, right, we're getting this sort of washy sound. And if I put this on a bandpass filter, cool, I'm getting an effect that's more to my taste, and this is just based on what I like, as opposed to using a high pass or a low pass filter. So I'm going to jack the resonance a bit. I'll put maybe 30 and just sweep the filter. Okay, yeah, it's not too much. Cool. All right, I reckon around 40 is going to be good. And what we could do is we could have this particular white noise sweep sweeping from high, so like high up here to low, right? And we can do that with automation. So if we come over here and we click this, we're activating the automation. And if we wiggle the frequency, then we can see that this line here is correlating to the position of this frequency knob. And then if I kind of put my cursor over, I can see that it's 18.5 kilohertz, right? Which is what's red on here. And if I click on it, I create a little node, and that kind of creates an anchor point where if I clicked, I'd create another node, and if I actually click and drag, then I'm pulling that node down and I'm making a ramp. And there's other ways that I can now draw in automation in Ableton. So I can actually select an area. I can right click once I've selected the area, and I could do like that, right? So it's like a pattern. And let's have a listen to see what that sounds like. Does that sound any good? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually pretty much perfect, all right? So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll just move that back, right? So we're going with the same theme. We've got this riser stop, this reverse cymbal stopping for the last 16th note. Cool. So here we've got ain't nothing wrong with that, right? So we could essentially print that. And by print, I mean just turn it straight into audio. Because what else do I need to do with this? I could maybe spread it, but I think I'll do that in a different sort of manner. Is there anything else I could do in here? No, I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go right click, freeze track, right click again, flatten track, right? So now we've got, I'll turn the automation off up there. And by the way, you can toggle that. If you turn off your keyboard thingy here, you can use A to actually toggle that on and off, right? So if this keyboard's activated, then your keyboard's used as a MIDI keyboard, right? But a piano keyboard, piano keys. And if that's off, then you can use the shortcuts like that, or clicking and pressing Z zooms in and that sort of thing, right? So, and I didn't actually want to do that, so let's go. So I'm going to bring that back because I really like things being like perfectly on the grid because I'm a real nerd. And now I'm going to go. That volume fade just introduces it really gently, right? And I'll let that play out like so. And then I can actually go Control J. And why would I consolidate things? I'm consolidating things because the decision's done and we're moving on, right? We're finished. That's how this white noise sweep is going to sound. We're not going to second guess ourselves. It's just white noise at the end of the day. And we just want to keep moving forward, right? So I might want to put a flanger on it. I really like that. Right, so we've flanged it up, makes it a bit more interesting. I just moved that slightly to a position where it just sort of sounded cool to me. And then what I want to do as well is I'm going to get a utility, and you know how we did this with the bass. We've done this bad boy. Let's go show automation. Right. I might want to do that volume automation. I might want to do that here, right? So I've just copied it from here and I've pasted it there, right? So paste, and then if I copy it, I go duplicate, boom, here we go, right? So what does this sound like if we pump the volume of it, right? This is going to sound interesting. I mean, it sounds pretty cool, man. And then what we could do, the last thing is I really don't want any bottom end coming through. And down here, it's starting to get a bit low. So we're going to go, okay. Yeah, we might bring that over. Yeah. That's my boy. That's my boy. All right. And now, oh shit. No. Cool. I thought I deleted more than what I wanted to delete there. Sweet. So we're starting to get somewhere. And essentially, I mean, what are we doing with this stuff? What are we doing? So let me explain why we've done and made all of these sounds. Sort of made this little sequence here. And the reason is in these tracks, in order to make them stimulating and gripping, we want to build tension and release. And Psytrance builds tension and release by sort of these moments of like building up and splashing into things. And a lot of Psytrance is always kind of the energy is like splashing over into new sequences and new events that happen after these sort of building moments. And because we're working with 4/4 music timing, we see we've got everything is sort of divisional or dividing into 4. So we've got, if we go into the close up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. And then if we come out, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. And then if we come out again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say like phrases or whatever, which to me creates what I call an entire sequence, which is about 16 bars, right? And then you expand out from that again, you've got 32. And then for a whole like passage, let's say a whole passage would be like 2 lots of 32, so 64. This is sort of how I like think about things. And we'll get more into that as we go, but what we're doing here is we're making it feel like something's about to happen, right? Because something is about to happen. We're about to bring the percussion in. Maybe we're going to make some effects. They're going to play at that particular moment, and we're going to like really be sort of playing with these progressive Psytrance and sort of full-on Psytrance ways of building and transitioning energy. And that is going to make our song engaging and gripping, because if we are only just ever listening to this, and then we introduce this, maybe in the 90s that was interesting, but now in the 2000s we do this sort of stuff. Right, so I mean, and even more. That's very basic right now still, but you get the idea. Like, we used to not really have these sorts of intense builds, or at least it wasn't always common in a lot of the typical sort of Psytrance that you'd hear, and now we hear it all the time, and then some people get a bit jaded, and then they get a bit judgmental, and then it gets a bit out of control, and we take ourselves a bit too seriously, and then all hell breaks loose. So let's not go in that direction. Let's turn this filter on and off, on, boom, boom. So I'm going to automate the filter on the kick and bass. I'm going to turn that down. So that's controlling just the simple fact that that's either on or it's off, right? So boom, now it's on during this period of time. What are we going to do with it? We'll drop that into its own lane so we can come back to that. Next, we're going to click the filter frequency. Oh, shit. We don't want to do that. We want to control it here. And we want to go up to, let's go up to sort of 4,000, about 4.5, right? So let's have a listen to how that sounds. So we're listening to the bass sort of filter away. That's pretty much works exactly how it is, right? Like, fine. No worries. We could maybe do that, and maybe we could do that. Maybe we could do that. No. Right, and by the way, to bend that, I'm pressing Alt. Right. Cool. And then maybe we could say that there's a bit of resonance that gets increased at some point. Not to 70% though. Jesus Christ, what are you thinking? Maybe up to like there. Yeah, cool. It just makes that sort of little, you can hear the resonance in the filter as it's moving over. So it sounds good. So then, so the bass is slowly sort of disappearing. All right, so just adding to this tension and release idea. All right, so we've got that. We could do a pitchy boy. All right, so we'll name this white down. I think of that as a down. We could make also a white up, and we can make the white up. You'll understand what I mean by up in a moment. Quite different. So there we are. We've got the Cool. We've got the MIDI. We'll go and grab an instrument, grab an operator, and then we're going to do the same again. We'll go white noise. We'll come in here. We'll draw that. We can press legato this time to make the big long note. Cool. We can go and we can put it on bandpass again, but this time we're going to start low and we're going to work our way up. And we're going to go like so, and we're just going to do it quickly because we've already done it before. And going all the way up that high might be a bit ridiculous, so let's do it like, let's do the thing. Let's select the area. Let's do. Why does that not let me do that? What? Why did that not work? Why is it not working? Is it because I've got that in there already? Yeah, I think that's why. Oh, I shouldn't swear on this channel. I don't know why that's not working, but we'll just do it the traditional way. Like this. Right, so let's have a listen. Cool, it's quiet for way too long. Let's bring that up. And we're coming up too high, I think. Cool. That's going to do it. It's fairly quiet though, isn't it? Turn that up a bit. Sweet. We'll add some resonance. 40. There we go. Sweet. Next, we're going to just go, we'll EQ it too. We don't want the bottoms coming through. Like so. Cool. And then this time we're going to go and we're going to get a utility, but we're going to do a different thing with it. So we're going to get that. We're going to come here. We're going to go right click. We're going to go 30-second notes. We're going to zoom in. We're going to go, all right, where's that? Click on the volume gain here on the utility, right? And I'm going to select that. I'm going to select that. And I'm going to select that area, right? So click, drag, hold shift. I'm going to click that line. I'm going to pull it all the way down. Right, so now I'm going from 0 decibels, so regular volume or full volume, let's say, down to no volume. And I'm going to just drop that onto its own little lane. And then I'm going to Control D, Control D, Control D. So do it 4 times. Copy that. 1, 2, 3. Got that. 1, 2, 3. Right, so now we've got this. Cool. And if we want to be trippy boys and trippy girls, we can go ahead and go auto pan. We can put that on 16th notes. We could go 1/8, and then we could be like a top dog and do this. We go, let's say we'll go 50%, and then we could be this guy and we could do a shape like a square. And if it sounds a bit stupid at the end here because it comes back up, so we just get rid of that. Bam! Right in the kisser. Let's freeze that now because we're just going to commit. We're all about commitment today. We've flattened that. We're going to shorten that. And we can actually go out of that, and then we can go here, and then we can go like that. Boom. Right, so. I'd get rid of that maybe. Maybe even that. Yeah, that sounds cool. Bam. Sweet, that's really nice. So that's a white up, right? So the filter's moving up versus white down, filter's moving down. I just do that. And I mean, you know what else I'm going to do? Just because, I like consistency. Put that same flanger on there. How does it sound? sounds magical. Cool. These risers are sounding all right, aren't they? What else could we do just quickly? I mean, we talked about a pitch riser. Do you think we've got enough time for that? We've got, yeah, we're at 25 minutes. We could do this and then we could call it a day. Right now, the pitch riser, we want that to be in key. And what were we using? Oh my God, we're in D, aren't we? Oh man, are you serious? I'm pretty sure we're in D. It's a great tone, love it. Change that to a saw wave, all right? And then we want to control the pitch of it. So where do we go to control the pitch? We can control the pitch with a pitch envelope if we want. So we can turn this on and we can pull the pitch up. And then we can play with the attack and the decay. Sounds a bit sad towards the end, doesn't it? Okay, so we want the peak. I mean, that doesn't sound entirely terrible, just like partially terrible. 6.9 seconds. 6.9. Whoops. Right, so I want to go 6.9. Not milliseconds. I want to go. Boom. That's milliseconds again. What am I doing with my life? Dude. Don't do what I do. It gets real boring towards the end, hey. The first part of it's pretty interesting to listen to, but... Okay, so I'm going to go back to 48. I think that sounds interesting. And then we're going to use it like... And then we're going to LFO it. Right? Because that's fun. Right, so just recreate what I did. I didn't explain what I was doing as I did it, but... Okay. This might be a bit too positive sounding for my taste for this particular track. But let's do that, and then let's quickly go, insert a return track. We're going to go pongy boy. Right, so there's going to be a ping pong delay. So we're going to go delay, and we're going to go into audio effects, and we're going to go delay, click, drag, and drop it on that send. And we want it to go ping pong, right? And then we want it to be like 100% dry wet. And then we're going to... Maybe not quite so much. Right? Boom. All right, something like that. We might delete that later because it just doesn't fit the vibe, but we just made a sound, right? And I'm doing it, so I wanted to do some pitchy thing. I clearly don't use this very often for pitching stuff. I use Operator pretty much solely for white noise sweeps these days, and Serum for a lot of other things, but we're doing everything inside of Operator, inside of Ableton's tools. So let's go pitchy boy, right? I mean, it works, just depends on what vibe you're on. So I'm going to leave it there for this video. That's about 30 minutes or so, you know, around about there. And we've made this. Not so sure about that, but everything else is pretty sweet. Mad. Cool. Thanks for subscribing, guys. I will see you in the next video where we're going to take this even further. We're going to keep writing our track. We're going to get some awesome shit happening. So, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in another video.